Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. Today, I bring you Charlie the Spaniard Brenneman. Ever since I finished my career as a Division I All-American athlete, I longed for not only the clarity of purpose that I had as an athlete, but also the accountability that comes with aspiring for big goals with a team of like-minded people. Then I discovered mastermind groups. Masterminds are small groups of like-minded people who get together either in person or over Skype or just over the phone to provide support, feedback, and advice to other members of the group. So I dove in and I learned all I could about mastermind groups, and then I finally launched my own. And the change was instant. I regained the accountability of being part of a group of like-minded, hardworking individuals who hold me to a higher standard. My mastermind group helps me get feedback and advice and even validation when I'm making big decisions in my life. And I have clarity and focus and accountability again, just like when I was an athlete. I've now facilitated dozens of high performers in mastermind groups. I'm talking Olympians and MBAs and neurosurgeons and professional athletes and entrepreneurs and lots of others. I've taken everything you need to know to start your own mastermind group, and I've put it into a short 10-page ebook titled The Quick and Easy Guide to Starting Your Own Mastermind Group in 30 Days or Less. Grab a copy of this free ebook by going to jimharshawjr.com/mastermind. That's jimharshawjr.com/mastermind. Having fought the scariest men on earth, taught junior and senior high Spanish, which can also be scary, won a TV reality show on national television, and read incessantly for many years, UFC veteran, speaker, and author Charlie the Spaniard Brenneman calls upon his myriad personal and professional experiences and knowledge to inspire you, challenge you, and make you believe. He's been knocked out cold on live television and lived out his own rocky story in front of 1 million people. Now, through traditional keynotes and workshops, you can get an inside look at what it takes to compete and win at the highest levels. For the listener, as you know, if you don't have time to listen to the entire episode, or if you hear something you like but you don't have a chance to write it down, make sure you grab your free copy of the action plan. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/action. Charlie, the Spaniard, welcome back to the show.
It's been a while, my friend. Well, you and I have talked recently, but it's been a while since I've been on the show. It's good to be back.
It's been over 200 episodes. Do you believe it, man? You were back in episode number 4.
I don't even know how much time that equals, but if it's one a week, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's over 4 years. So for the listener, you can go back out and check out episode number 4. And actually, one of the things I was go ahead.
I've known you for 4 years. Wow.
Yeah, well, I think it's just over that because we met at the NCAA. We meet at National Wrestling Championships or something.
No, we didn't meet. This is a funny story, Jim. Jim and I met virtually and phone call-ly for quite a while, and then finally we met at Nationals when it was in New York City. That was the first time you and I were face to face.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, I thought he was just this fake dude that created this character.
Like that whole saga with the Notre Dame defensive player from Notre Dame. I can't even think of his name right now. You know, that's what we thought each other were. We're like, wait, is this guy for real? Because that's right. Scott Moore, the head coach at Lock Haven, head wrestling coach at Lock Haven, told me about what you were doing, and then connected us, and it was years before we actually finally got together in person. So
it's been downhill ever since.
It's been downhill ever since. But that actually did happen, and it may actually happen again. So we actually hung out for about 15 minutes in person, and then and that was it. So I think that was you. I think that actually happened.
It was me, I promise.
So I went back and looked at the bio that I had written up for that episode, and one of the things I wrote was, this is a hugely inspirational interview. you'll learn tools and tactics of a successful person who's just getting started. And man, you've come a long way since then. You are cranking out a ton of awesome content. I've told you many times, I think you have some of the best stuff on the internet. I mean, I know for the listener, there's Joe Rogan, there's Tim Ferriss, et cetera, man. The Spaniard is putting out equally as good of stuff, if not better. And you're publishing basically every day now, right?
Yeah, that's pretty humbling, man. I feel like maybe you put me in that category before, and I sincerely appreciate it because 4 years just getting started and now 4 years into it and having been on the go for 4 years. And it's almost like if you can imagine 0 at the bottom, 100 at the top, I might be to like 80 or 90 right now, but the knowledge gap from 80 or 90 to 100, I feel like is equally, if not more, confusing and
sure,
whatevering than 1 through 80 or 90. So
yeah, it's like getting to like top 10 in the world, going from like 100th ranked in the world to 10th ranked in the world. It's a lot of work. It's a huge climb. And then going from 10th to first, it's probably just as big of a leap.
It is, man. And you and I were chatting off recording off air, but so the idea of making it for anyone and anything, fighting, it was getting to the UFC. You made it, right? Well, no, because now I got to stay in the UFC. Well, now I'd like to win a fight. Now I'd like to get in the top 10. Now I'd like to win a belt. Now I'd like to defend a belt. Well, now I want to be the greatest of all time. Like it never ends. And for me, it's just been this going and going and going, and it's never ending, man. But I'm just so committed to achieving this ideal that I have with speaking and podcasting and influencing and inspiring people. And you ask, we're going to talk about habits and some of the stuff that gets you to where you want to get to. But one of the things I think it's important to put out there early is there's no secret. I've talked to really successful people, both on my show and behind the scenes. And I say, all right, you've got a huge following. You've got a very loyal following. What's the secret? And they say quality content and consistency.
Yeah.
And I actually laugh in my belly. I'm like, all right, well, I got 1,200 episodes of quality content. That's definitely not it. It could have been it for them. It could be it for other people. There could be other things that are it for other people. You just never know. So you just got to keep trying all these different things until it either hits or you decide to go in another direction.
Yeah, and I found the same thing. It's so interesting. You talk to different experts, right, about how to, whatever it is, build a brand or train for a marathon or build a business or fix your relationship or whatever, right? There are certain sort of fundamental things, but you can talk to 10 experts and get 10 different stories. And that's part of the problem with social media and listening to all the experts that are out there on social media about any topic, any subject. And you go, okay, so there's 10 different experts I'm following and they all say to do different things. One says you should, everything's on video and YouTube. Another one says it's all about Instagram or Snapchat or all about building your email list or all about meeting people and networking or whatever, right? And they're all, here's the thing, they're all right, but you don't have to do all of those things, right? You have to do what you can do, and you have to keep advancing the ball and keep trying the things and stepping forward and taking one step forward, because you can't see 10 steps down the path. You can see maybe 2 or 3, but if you take 2 or 3 steps down the path, now you can see 2 or 3 more steps. Like, you just have to keep trying things and doing things and failing and learning.
It's become so, like, I mentally and physically train hard every day. So my show, and like I said, I have over 1,200 episodes, and that's today I think was like the 812th daily episode, and that's consecutive weekdays. And then I have like over 100 interviews, and then I have over 100 weekly summations of what I learned. So my mind is on overdrive. I'm raising 2 kids, they'll be 6 and 3. I'm teaching them Spanish, so I repeat everything essentially 2 times. And my brain is just really worked. And then I'm scrolling through social media and touching on what you said. That's what made me think of it. The idea of this is just noise. Like, this is noise. Just pick one and go. And a buddy of mine, so one of my best lifelong friends, and then Kyle Kingsbury, who works down at On It, who's a guy that I, trust his judgment and credibility. They've been big fans of this guy named Ramit Sethi. And he's a financial guy, and he helped people build businesses. And he has this course that's $2,000. And I don't know how much it is. I think it's $2,000. And and I'm like, I've met like 5 versions of Ramit, and I've never pulled the trigger. And I'm saying to myself, whether it's him or someone or something else, just follow a path. Dave Ramsey's message is never go into debt. Well, that works for Dave Ramsey and his disciples. Ramit, I'm reading his book now. He's talking about credit and utilizing credit cards. That's his method. Some people say bury your money in a dirt pile in your backyard. It's just pick a direction and go, because it's really mind-numbing to ponder so much.
Yeah, it is. And I've always said you can't stumble into, I heard this somewhere, but you can't stumble into something unless you're moving forward, right? You've got to move forward. You got to take steps forward. And you've got to embrace the grind, right? I mean, because it is a grind. And I guess I can kind of let the cat out of the bag because we're recording this as I am still holding my job at the University of Virginia. But by the time we hit publish on this, Charlie, I won't be working there anymore, right? I've taken that step, and I've quit my job and going full time, all in on podcasting and speaking and coaching. But it was like embrace the grind, right? And I've been grinding, and my schedule's absolutely absurd. I mean, it's absurd. I'm doing coaching calls while I'm driving. I'm fitting things in, my lunch break, every nook and cranny. There's not a wasted moment of downtime. I'm taking a leak, and I'm like, returning emails, and I guess everybody's probably doing that these days, but holy cow. But anyway, you're embracing the grind, right? I mean, my goodness, 812 consecutive episodes.
Yeah, man. But so 2 things. One, I wonder where you were at and where we were at with talking about that out loud. But I think it's like, it's crazy. I want to say tremendous, awesome. But you and I both know that it's just kind of like how you refinance a house. It's like you're refinancing your work energy. It's not like it's going anywhere different. You're just putting it into something else and something that you really truly believe in. And I'm pretty sure I remember recording with you, I think, or it was either me on your show or you on my show. You were on my show way back, no?
No, I've not.
You've never been on my show?
I've not reached that level. I've not reached that level. I mean, when I get to that level, maybe we can talk. I'll have my people call your people.
An oversight.
Yeah.
That's terrible. You should have been like guest number 1 on my show. Well, we'll get that scheduled right away.
Good. Let's do that.
I'll have my assistant reach out to you.
Yeah, have your people reach out to my people.
Let me tell my assistant, hey, Charlie, reach out to Jim. Okay. Well, then I remember recording with you. It was something. It was not the actual interview that we did. It was something. I feel like
what I do with my coaching clients, any of my current clients right now who are in Reveal Your Path or Reveal Your Path Pro, I do those sort of small group sessions, group coaching sessions where it wasn't long ago. I had you on, a few months ago. You did an exclusive session with those folks. It was, 15 or 20 people on the call and just the video call.
Might have been that then. But the point of this debauchery of a story is that I just remember you starting and teaching me and showing me, and you would say, man, I only have this pocket from like, it was like 5:30 to 7 or 5 to 6:30 or something in the morning. And then you got to go to work. Then you got to come home. You have 4 kids. And I've always looked at you like, I couldn't do that. Like, I couldn't do that. My partner, Dredd, who helps me with all the stuff I do, he tells me that I have like this unbelievable ethic and blah, blah. And I'm like, I couldn't do what you do, Jim. And I tell Dredd, I couldn't do what you do. So,
well, thanks, man. I feel the same about you. I'm like, holy crime, you publish so much. It's amazing.
I think we all have our little things that we're good at. And Dredd and I just had this conversation. So Dredd listeners, my show is a Spaniard show. It's about lifelong learning. I read lots of books and teach what I learn. I interview people. And Dredd is my partner / designer / Mr. Miyagi, right? So he just helps me with all this stuff. And yesterday, he and I were having this deep conversation that we have every other day, because it's like, how's this going to take off? And I was thinking to myself earlier that day, I wouldn't rather be doing anything. So I have a very smart person in my life say, you stop doing your daily show for free. And that would be like telling me to stop working out every day. It's like my show, and this is kind of a response to your, how do you do it? Reading and learning and taking notes and teaching it's a part of me as a human, as much as working out is. So to me, it takes time out of my day, just like a workout does, but I just love it. It enriches me. And I truly believe in, this may sound a little bit, I don't know if ostentatious is the word. It may sound a little bit whatever, but I think my best gift that I can give people is essentially to be curious and then teach what I learn. because I think there's so much to get out of life and our experiences. And I just love doing that work. And I think it certainly helps me and my kids and my family. And I think it can help other people as well.
Yeah. And for the listener, I mean, this is a guy who lives it. I mean, he's grinding and he puts out this amazing content and he loves it. I mean, it obviously comes through you. If you just tune in to find him on Facebook or find him on the internet, you'll find his podcast on iTunes, whatever, and you'll hear it. If you watch the videos, you'll see it, but it's fun and you can tell you're having fun and you love it and you're grinding but it's like, I always say that, how do you turn hard work into inspired action? It's like you got to, there's digging ditches, which may suck and it's hard work. But you know what? If you're digging that ditch because, you got to dig a drainage trench around your house because a flood is coming, you know what? It's hard work, but you're like so inspired to do it because you want to save your house, right? Or, waking up early for me and doing what I do, it's like, is it hard work? I guess, but it's like, I couldn't do the different hard work that other people do, or I wouldn't want to do the different, but I want to do my hard work and you want to do your hard work because it's really not hard work. It's almost not even fair to call it hard work. It's like, but it's more hard work. It's more inspired action than anything. So for the listener, you've got to figure out, what is it that drives you? And it's so cliche to say it, right? Yeah, follow your passions and, quit your job and, do whatever you'd want to do if money were no obstacle. But it's like, there's truth to that, right? I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying find what it is that you love to do, and the grind becomes inspired action.
And the ripple effect it's like the habits that if we end up talking about the habits, they're going to be pretty traditional, boring habits that the listeners are going to be like, yeah, that's it, man. That's because that's what it is. So one thing I learned from fighting, and really I think this kind of pushed me or catapulted me in the trajectory that I'm going, is when I sought out to fight, I had no one else in mind. No one else, right? It was, I want to compete with my skills that I have. I want to be a fighter. I want to get to the UFC. I want to be champion of the world and do my best and dedicate myself to that. I didn't think, how can I serve other people? I didn't think, how can I whatever other people? How can I help other people? I've always been a sound human being. My parents raised a kind person that you treat others with respect. So outside of the standard good person, I didn't seek helping people, right? That was not my profession or my job. But I learned by fighting that, holy cow, dude, just by pursuing this thing with all of your being, people are drawn to that and attracted to that and inspired by that. Yeah. Such that when I finished fighting, I was like, oh, well, I'll just and kind of inspire people that way. Because if you dedicate yourself to something wholeheartedly.
Sorry, it blanked out just for a second there. You said, when I started fighting, I'll just, and then continue from there.
I'll just, yeah. When I stopped fighting, I figured, well, I'll just dedicate myself wholly to something else. Yeah. And when you do that, people become interested. Dredd, my partner, always refers to Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray in cooking, I'll never, and these are his words, but I feel the same way. I'll never cook a meal that Rachel Ray shows me how to cook on TV. But I love that Rachel Ray loves it. And that inspires me to love what I love. And you can look across the board. He always uses Mike Rowe, right, with kind of blue collar labor and
guy who hosts Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, a guy who hosts. So it's like, man, that drives me. I don't necessarily want to do that work, but I want to do my work, and my work is reading books and asking questions.
Yeah, for the listener, what's your work, right? And your work might be, serving the homeless on the weekends, right? It doesn't have to be starting a podcast, right? That's your work. There's people all around the world doing inspired work. What is yours, right? And it doesn't have to be just one thing. It can be multiple things.
People ask me often if I'll ever go back to teaching. And my first response is I basically am teaching, and I get to teach whatever I want, whenever I want, which is my show, which is something I absolutely love. But if I were, and I don't want to teach within the confines of a school, because I don't want to be in that environment with the requirements and the different elements of being a teacher is very little. You don't
have to grade papers either when you're with your podcast, right? Are people turning in papers that you have to grade? No?
Yes, they do. I have so many paying customers. I didn't want to say anything, but no, zero. But if I did go back to teaching, my work, so this is for the person who's working the uninspired job, who doesn't have whatever to start whatever, right? You're in your job. That's your here and now. If I were to go back to teaching now, not wanting to go back, I may have to substitute teach to subsidize myself as I grow this business. I don't yet, but I may have to. If I do, my intent, my quote work is going to be inspire the heck out of these kids and make them believe in learning, period. Regardless of what class I'm in, regardless of what type of teacher I am, that would be my work. Like, how can I connect these kids to learning, leading them to a life that they want? That would be my work. So whatever job you're in, inspired or not inspired, ask yourself, all right, the underlying thing, I'm going to be a this today, but what am I really going to do? And that really going to do needs to be enough to at least get the ball rolling.
Yeah, love that. So let's dive into the core habits thing. You know, you mentioned it there briefly, and I keep going back to this episode. I recorded episode 184 for the listener. If you want to go check it out, just jimharshawjr.com/184, or we'll have the link in the action plan. Actually, we'll put the link to the action plan in the action plan, if you got that. So there will be a PDF.
How about that?
An action plan within an action plan. I don't know if it's ever been done. It might break the internet, but we're going to give it a try.
Plan,
it's like action plan squared. Yeah, it's deep stuff. But he said, this is Alan Stein Jr. Alan Stein said, fall in love with the fundamentals. And he's talking about these elite performers and like falling in love with the fundamentals. And Spaniard, that's what you said a few minutes ago. It's like, that stuff's it's not sexy. It's not always fun. It's kind of boring. You know, sometimes I've recorded podcasts where I'm talking about, I don't know, gratitude or goal setting. I'm like, yeah, I know you're like totally let down because you thought it was going to be like this, you know, secret inside ninja thing that's like, oh man, nobody knows this thing. It's like, no, people know what they are, but there's a million habits, right? There's a million things that we can do, should do, could do, want to do in order to maximize our potential and level up. But like, I want to hone it down for people and to go, okay, listen, there's 20 things that you can probably do every day that are going to really help you level up. But like, what are the 3 or the 5 things that are like non-negotiables? And I'd love to hear from you. I mean, can you share a couple that you've heard from any of your guests and or that you do in your life?
Yeah. So the first two I mentioned are one, training very intensely. So a lot of people has benefits of working out. I absolutely feel those benefits, reap those benefits, or else it'd be hard to convince myself to do it. But I can tell you that I do not look forward to working hard. Like I wish, and maybe in time I will reframe how I look at it, but I fret this workout I got to do after this because I know it's going to be really hard. So I believe that it makes you a better person. I believe it makes you more well prepared for whatever you encounter. I think the idea of rents due, right? Like I forget what the exact saying is, but you know, rents due every day or the first of the month, whatever. So start working, something like that. I love that idea. So training, not just like I'm going to the gym. No, I'm going to play patty cakes and, you know, walk around and talk to this guy and that guy, blah, blah, blah. No, like go in a corner, like a dirty corner preferably, and just bust out some hard work. And that to me is fundamental. And then also for me,
let me just jump on that real quick. One of my clients recently asked me, he's like, man, Jim, I've kind of fallen off the path. My program's called Reveal Your Path. And he's like, Jim, I've kind of fallen off the path. And, you know, I need a hard reset. That was his word. He said, I need a hard reset. And one of the things that I basically prescribed him was a hard workout. Like, go get sweaty and do something really hard that's going to just so you feel spent when you're done. And that was one of the few things that we started with, and it was awesome. Like he felt totally reset and back on track and recharged.
You know, one of the things to and I don't even know how this is going to come off, and I don't know if it's going to be helpful, but personally, I don't fall off the path. I just don't fall off the path. I know my path. There are some built-in, you know, eat like garbage today, this weekend. Hey, it's the week before between Christmas and New Year's. That's a given. But in terms of the path of the year, I don't fall off it. I never understood why guys in fighting would get fat after fights. It's like, dude, you're a professional fighter. It's you fight and then you rest for a week and then you get better and then you fight again. So that, I guess, make your path one such that you believe it's going to get you to where you want to go, but then don't fall off it. Like, a cheat meal or 2 days off in a row, or that doesn't have to be falling off the path. That can be part of your path. The start and stoppage of start, stop will not in the long run work. So it's like reveal your path, design your path, however you want to call it, and then stick to it. Just don't fall off it. Now, I'm not as hardcore as someone like Jocko Willink, who gets up at 4:30 every day. I'm just not. I'll say much more human. But I say that in jest because I've been around seemingly machine-like men, and I know they're human. So I know Jocko's a human, but he's more disciplined and needs less rest than I do. So, kind of find your path and stick to it. And I've been doing this, started training and working out when I was 8 years old. So I've been doing it over 30 years. And I'm just now realizing, dude, just trust it. You're not gonna become something you don't want to become because it's already ingrained. So the training is first and foremost in my life.
And let me jump in there too. And I'll say this because you said, you don't fall off your path. And there's a difference between, and then you said, well, sometimes I'll eat not healthy food and then that's just for like a weekend or whatever. Like there's a difference between stepping off your path for a weekend, you going somewhere with the family, you eat some junk food, you get an ice cream, whatever, versus drifting off of the path, right? Drifting unintentionally off the path where, just to extend the analogy of a path, right? If you're going through the woods and you're on a path and you're like, you drift off because your focus is, I don't know, you're looking down at your phone, right? And then you keep walking and you drifted off the path. Now you're going, crap, where the hell am I? Versus stepping off the path where you go, oh, there's a thing over there that I want to go see. There's a lookout, a vantage point. I'm going to step off of my path. I know where my path is. I'm going to go back over to my left there, but I'm going to step over here to the right. And for the weekend, eat an ice cream, and then I'm going to go back over to my path. I know where it's at. There's a difference there, and most people drift off of it. If they know where their path is, they drift off of it, or they're on a path that's not very well defined, and therefore it's easy to drift off the path.
So included in my path. So my wife. I've been with her, we got married in 2012 and we've been dating for however long, more than that. But she still, on a pretty regular basis, is amazed by how much I eat. And many of those times, it's not good food. So I'll have 7 cuts of pizza, 24, 32-ounce soda, and then ice cream. When I say a somewhat regular basis, maybe I'll have that once every 2 weeks. But like, some people, my brother will say to me, geez, dude, you eat a ton of sugar. But it's like, I do it once in a while, and then the other times I just don't do it. Like a given for me is 2 giant bowls of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Love it more than anything. But I just don't do it all the time because it's just not part of my whatever. But I'm sure if you talk to some people, they would tell you that is the devil and I'm a POS for eating Cinnamon Toast. I don't care because that's just how I am and how my path is.
Yeah. All right. So working out is a core habit for you. What else?
Reading books. Oh man, I don't have time for that. You do have time for that. It's a priority, and I'll give you a strategy, and that is to pick a kid's book, a picture book. Pick any picture book. And if you go to my website, charliespaniard.com, which I'll give out later, you'll see a reading list, and you'll be able to see a bunch of kids books. And there are kids books that are chapter books and kids books that are literally 5-minute picture books that can change your life. And so you do have time to read. You've just got to commit to it. And a strategy I would say is get a reading buddy, someone in Reveal Your Path. And each of you get the kids' book, you read it, and then at the end of the week, after that 5-minute book read, you have a 10-minute conversation and tell each other how that book changed your life or influenced you and an action you took from it. It's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty not very cool sounding, but that's what books do, and that's why I do my show the way I do it. I don't have that person, but I talk to you, the listener, and I tell you what I learned from it.
Love that. And, just thinking about an episode with John Gordon, episode 117. And I was for the listener, if you don't know who John Gordon is, he's a very, very well-known speaker and author. He's written tons of best-selling books in Wall Street Journal, #1 bestseller, et cetera. And I brought up this book that when I was interviewing him, I'm like, hey, the book Shark and the Goldfish, it's a great kid's book. I really recommend it to the listeners. And he goes, that wasn't a kid's book. It's like this really, it's such a great book. It's The Shark and the Goldfish. It's about a goldfish who gets washed out into the ocean and he has to fend for himself, etc. And it's like really kind of framed like a kid's book. I thought my kids love the book. But anyway, for the listener, like it's an easy page turner kind of book. But yeah, great recommendations, Charlie.
And then, like I said, there's a ton out there and there's a ton on my site, and it's just a matter of not making that excuse.
All right, for the listener who's not going to actually get to the end of the episode because they're pulling in their driveway on their way home from work, where's the reading list?
So if you go to my website, charliespaniard.com, every handle I have is charliespaniard.com, basically. Cool. And if you go to my website, you'll see a reading list. Click on the reading list, and it also helps support the Spaniard Show. So thank you in advance.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, you can click on those links if you buy something from there. It's like a affiliate link. So awesome. Yep. Yeah. Buy your books through that link. That's awesome.
And actually buy the biggest thing you can possibly buy as well, because I just
refrigerators, cars.
If they stay on Amazon after clicking the book link and buy something, it still counts. So just go buy a house on Amazon.
Buy a house. Yeah, you can probably buy a house on there now. What else? Core habits.
So I ask a lot of questions. So that kind of goes in line with reading, but I ask a lot of questions. Okay, so why don't I create a show where I read books and ask questions? And that's exactly what I did. So it in the here and now, it is providing my income. I have aspirations of it providing a richer, and I'll say richer, borrowing from Ramit's book, I'll Teach You to Be Rich, not just money, but money, experiences, the whole package. And so I love asking questions. And for me, it's kind of an obsessive trait, meaning that it's kind of a negative as well, because it annoys a lot of people in my close circle. My wife, I know I annoy my dad quite often when I ask him all kinds of menial questions about how stuff works. And it can at times cause you to come off as intrusive, but I have a very curious mind that wants to know. And so that, again, that kind of led me to, what can I do with this? So an assessment of traits, I think, is maybe not a traditional habit, but I think assessing your traits and then moving in that direction is huge. And it's something I think I subconsciously did for my whole life. I wrestled. And then when I started teaching Spanish, it was like, well, what do I want to do? And I was like, well, what can I do? I can wrestle. My friend started fighting. I'll start fighting. And then from there, it was the same transference of skills. I like being on a stage. I like working hard. I love reading books. I like asking questions. What can I do with that? And then you just kind of go. It's like your skills are the horse leading the cart, which is you. And I just kind of follow my skills.
And I'll add on to that. Even if that's not like a skill that you have, that's when you should develop. That should be a core habit, whether or not that's something that comes natural to you, because for a lot of reasons. Number one, if you ask questions, you can have a conversation with anybody. Everybody loves to talk about themselves, right? And if you ask questions, it gets the other person talking. And when you ask questions, you learn about them and you go, oh, wait, we have this thing in common, right? And you're finding out things that you have in common. You can create, build relationships, networking, etc. If you're in sales, it's all about questions, man. Get the other person talking. Again, people love to talk about themselves, but they're going to tell you their problems, their challenges. You can build a relationship, build trust, and then go, oh, this is their challenge. This is their problem that they just explained. Well, let me frame my solution in a way that can help them with their problem. And the other one, third kind of bullet point just on that is like, it's how you help and serve people, right? You can't help and serve people if you don't know what they're going through, if you can't understand their challenges, and you're only going to get that by asking questions, right? The obvious, analogy there is a doctor asking questions. You sit down in the doctor's office and they start saying, okay, tell me what's wrong, right? That's how a doctor can help you, and that's how you can serve people in the world. And I think that should be a core habit for everyone.
Amen, Jim.
What else you got for us? Core habits.
Core habits. I was trying to think of how to frame this or how to say it, but I feel like I ignore myself a lot, / I tell myself to shut up a lot. And what I mean by that is I have as much anxiety. I won't say as much as anyone because I'm sure there's more people, but I would say at least as much as, I don't know, over half the population of anxiety and self-doubt and worry. And it's plagued me my whole life, but I keep moving forward in spite of it. So many, many, many days, many times on every day, pretty much, it's getting past that. And that could, I worry about appearance, like I don't know, anything as small as my shirt or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Honey, does this look all right? Just blah, 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 blah. So I worry about menial, stupid stuff. I worry about when I record an episode, oh my gosh, did I say something? Is it everything I say is okay? Did I offend anyone? I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to make anyone upset. I don't want to get in trouble. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I just have all this like unfounded anxiety and worry. And so it's a constant daily thing to keep moving forward in spite of that. So I think that way, or the decision to do that is the difference between everything. Because if I listened, then I would never do anything. So
is the habit to be anxious?
No, I mean, the habit would be to tell yourself to shut up, like just keep moving forward. Kick yourself in the corner and go.
Yeah, man, I love that. I'll just reference another episode while we're here. I referenced episode 117 with John Gordon and 184 with Alan Stein Jr. But Drew Manning, who I had on most recently, episode 149, he hosts the TV show Fit to Fat to Fit. He's got just a massive brand. He's awesome. He's been on Dr. Oz and on all kinds of TV shows and Late Show. But anyway, I just watched a video this morning of him that he posted on LinkedIn about some anxiety that he's dealing with, right? And some things that are challenging that he's going through right now. And guess what? You, the listener, like, you're going through something too right now. You have anxiety. You have self-doubt. You have fear. I do too. Spaniard does too. And that's part of the game, right? I would be willing to bet that if we asked every single person I've interviewed on this podcast, most of them would admit to being anxious and fearful and having self-doubt around different things and having to step into that, right? The saying of courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of fear, but walking into it, stepping towards it, like doing something despite the fear that you have. And so that's, so I appreciate you bringing that up, Spaniard.
Yeah. It's unfortunately unfortunately, it's just part of the package that is me.
Yeah. Got anything else to add to that list of core habits or no?
I think this developed since Dred and I, since I started this, and then Dred became pretty much a full-time partner in it. We talk a lot. So the anxieties that I have, or the ideas that I have, or the thoughts that I have, he's almost like my therapist. And I would say to someone, I heard it's a really smart guy, I think, who wrote Thinking Fast and Slow. I never read the book. His name is Daniel Kahneman. I think it was him that said it, but he talked about an intellectual partner, and meaning like exactly what it sounds like, an intellectual partner. You call each other and you stretch each other intellectually. And Dred is kind of my intellectual partner / my therapist / my Mr. Miyagi / advisor / partner. And if I have something brewing in my mind, and if I think to myself, okay, I really want to say this to my wife, pretty sure I don't need to say it. Pretty sure if I do say it, it's going to start an argument. I'm going to sit on it for 2 hours, and then I'm going to call Dred. I'm going to talk to Dred. He's really smart and he's really objective, and he's going to talk me through it. And at the end of that conversation, I will feel relief, and I will feel like, all right, I'm in a good spot. And if I do bring it up to my wife, I bring it up in a much more thoughtful way, or I just realize it's not worth bringing up, man. Let it go. And then I let it go. And that has become, and that's that's therapy. In a nutshell. I mean, that is what therapy is. You talk to people about your problems, challenges, anxieties, worries, all that stuff. And that's exactly what I do with him. And it helps me tremendously on a regular basis.
Yeah, I love that. It's this idea of taking the subconscious stuff that's swirling around in your head and getting it out into the open so that you can actually make decisions on it logically and intentionally, versus kind of drifting into, well, I'm going to, I feel this way, so I'm going to say something to my wife. And you go, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't say that. Or maybe I should say it in a different way, or approach the situation in a totally different way. So, yeah, that's great. All right, man, anything else to add to the list?
No, I think that's a pretty thorough.
That's a great list. So give them back to me. I got workout.
Read books and ask questions.
Read books, ask questions, shut up, tell yourself to shut up, and have an intellectual partner.
Yeah.
Those are powerful, man. Those are powerful. Love it. for the listener, you can go back to, talk to a lot about habits over the various episodes. And these are a lot of different ones, right? I mean, reading and working out might be on there, but the idea of an intellectual partner, the idea of being a voice inside your own head, telling yourself to shut up and keep moving, and then also asking questions. I mean, those are three that I wouldn't have thought about, but those are amazing core habits that will change the trajectory of your life.
There's a book, and now this book stretched me. I have a pretty wide, so the three books I have on me right now are I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Hidden War, which is about this Mexican drug cartels in Northern California and the game wardens that are combating these giant marijuana plantations that the cartels are creating. And then I have Chip and Joanna Gaines's book, The Magnolia Story. So I've got quite a wide interest in reading books. And I don't even know why I said that other than to say something meaningful, but I forget what it was. So
sorry, we got the power of edit. We can edit whatever we want.
We just leave it in here. Just leave it in. That's what happens.
All right, we'll leave it in.
But reading something to do with oh no, I know what it is. Yeah, so I read a lot, and it's easy to. And there's a book called The Untethered Soul, right? So I read a wide variety of books. Don't edit that part out. Leave it in there.
All right, leave it in. This is real life.
The Untethered Soul is a book that stretched me to my ability to comprehend spiritual content, right? So if you read something that's very spiritual and maybe I'll say esoteric, I think I'm using that word correctly, but I'm not totally sure, or kind of abstract and a little bit out there. This book was not that, but this book pushed me to my outermost limit of, yeah, I'm into this. I like this. More abstract, I don't know if I would have been able to comprehend it, but it was a really solid book. And it talks about, what we're talking about, the habits and not getting lost in all the stuff that you've got going on in your mind. That's a really good book at giving you a self-reflective look at how you operate and where you sit within yourself and the different voices you have and who's you and who's not you. It's an interesting book. So if you feel like you could learn a little bit more about that, I think that would be an interesting read for you. It's called The Untethered Soul.
Untethered Soul. I've heard about that recently too. So excellent. All right, we'll include that in the action plan as well. Spaniard, where do people find you, follow you, get more of you, consume more of your content? Where do they go?
Well, lastly, one of the other things I want to point out there when you're thinking about habits that you have for yourself or you want to create it sounds really sexy to say these like, hey man. And if you do these things, great. But do you meditate? Well, no, I don't meditate. Okay. Well, do you drink this thing? Nope, don't drink this thing. Well, do you do
coffee,
this?
Right?
Yeah, or whatever it is. Like,
right. Of course.
My friend just went to an event, and she was like, "I actually heard these people talking about this like." Something matcha something tea that sounded so awful, and they were like, yeah, I'm gonna get on it. I saw something on social media recently where it was like it named all these 10 things that you have to do in order to basically be successful, and it was making a mockery of it. And love it. If you do those things, whatever, but the point is don't get lost in the details. Just do something. None of it's sexy. It all is hard. It all sucks pretty much, but just try to do the ones that work for you and don't get lost in the details.
Yeah, man, that's like a great summation of success and like what it takes to get there, man.
In terms of where to find me, my website, as I said before, is charliespaniard.com. I do a lot of speaking at schools and businesses. So if you're interested in that, just click on booking and fill out the short form. My reading list is on there too. I've got, close to 100 or more books on there, links to social media. And my show is called The Spaniard Show, World's Toughest Lifelong Learner on iTunes. Search it out. Give it a listen. Let me know what you think. And then lastly, Jim, my new book is coming out soon. It's called Becoming the World's Toughest Lifelong Learner, a book for anyone who wants to pursue anything. And it is a book of principles, and it is the second part of a series of memoirs that I envision writing for my lifetime. But if you go to charliespaniard.com/email, I'll be emailing out when it's finished the whole PDF of the book. So if you don't want to buy it, you can read the PDF. And then if you want to buy a copy for your friend, that'd be cool. If not, you get the book and all its contents. charliespaniard.com/email.
Excellent. I have all those links in the action plan, of course. So jimharshawjr.com/action. We'll have the PDF. You get all the links there, links to Spaniard's social media, etc. So, Charlie, Chuck, thanks for coming on the show, man. Again.
Blast, dude.
Yeah.
Good luck to you and your new endeavors.
Thanks, man. This is it's exciting. Thanks for being part of my path along the journey here. You know, I've always said that we got to have people in our lives who hold us to a higher standard that we believe we can attain. You're one of those people for me, so I appreciate your just being part of this journey for me. So,
thanks, brother.
Onward and upward, man. And for the listener, until next time, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.